Humanity has always looked at the moon as the first rung in opening space for exploration. It is closer than any other world, so it was seen as the natural target for our first big steps. You can reach it in just a few days, and signals to Earth lag by only a couple of seconds. There is no air, no weather, and almost no change for billions of years. That is exactly what makes it a convenient test ground to learn whether people can live far from their home planet, reliably and safely. At the end of the 1960s, a human first set foot on the moon. Over the next few years, 12 astronauts flew there in total altogether. They spent only a few days on the surface, collected rocks, set up instruments, and studied the soil. Those missions proved that people can work with no air and with extreme temperature swings in harsh conditions. But after 1972, the flights stopped, and for decades, only robotic craft operated on the moon. Today, the aim of returning to the moon is not a symbol, but practice in real conditions. Here we can mine ice from craters and turn it into water and oxygen. Here we can test how new energy sources and air recycling systems perform. That will allow long-duration bases and prepare for flights farther out, toward Mars. A mistake on the moon is less dangerous and less costly than in more distant missions, so it is called humanity's training ground. Many nations are now involved in lunar development. The United States is preparing new crewed flights. China is sending its craft and planning to deliver people. India and Japan are building robots that land and explore. European countries create instruments and modules for future stations. Private companies are joining too, promising cheaper rockets and capsules. Step by step, a whole web of projects is forming, with each actor pursuing its own goals. Scientists think the best place for bases is near the South Pole. In dark craters, there lies ice to mine, while nearby ridges get sunlight most of the time. That provides both water and energy. Sites are chosen carefully. The ground should be even, free of big rocks, and within direct communication to Earth. It also matters that different rock types are close by, because the moon preserves the history of the whole solar system. Future lunar bases are planned as modular systems. Rockets will deliver them, and connectors will link the modules together. To shield from radiation, the habitats will be covered with lunar soil. Another option is to print blocks directly from regolith. Airlocks are crucial, where spacesuits can be stored and cleaned so that dust does not get inside. Everything is designed so the base can expand step by step without starting over. Cargo reaches the moon on large rockets. In lunar orbit, it transfers to landers that descend to the surface with precision. This is the riskiest phase. Engine plumes kick up dust that can damage equipment and sensors. So teams choose strong, flat landing zones in advance and limit the mass of payloads. Every extra ton demands a lot of fuel. For now, such flights are difficult and rare, but gradually they will become cheaper and safer over time. There is no air on the moon and no protection from radiation. By day, the surface heats above 100 degrees, and by night it cools below minus 170 degrees. These cycles last almost 2 weeks each. The soil is made of tiny sharp particles that clog machinery and wear out suit joints. So work requires a spacesuit that keeps pressure, cools the body, and supplies oxygen. Without it, a person dies quickly within seconds. The main source of water on the moon will be ice in dark craters. It will be mined and melted. Air will be made from water by splitting it into oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen is needed for breathing, hydrogen for fuel. In addition, air and water will be recycled inside the base. Breath, sweat, and condensate will go back into the loop. Losses will still occur, so reserves are essential, or any leak becomes a mortal threat. Energy is the foundation of survival. On ridges near the poles, the sun shines almost constantly, so arrays are placed there. But dust settles on them and lowers efficiency. For dark craters and the long nights, compact nuclear units are planned. Energy will be stored in batteries and thermal reservoirs. Everything must be redundant. If a system shuts down, the base will quickly freeze or overheat. Reliability here matters more than power. So far, only small rovers driven from Earth have traveled on the moon. They explored the surface, but there are no roads. In the future, we plan various vehicles, light platforms for work near a base, and pressurized cabins for long trips, where you can breathe without a suit. Wheels will need to be tough to survive the sharp soil and abrasive dust. Designers even discuss craft that can hop or glide over craters for extended ranges. Robots are working actively on the moon today. They land, study the soil, and send back images. Some craft have already driven for kilometers and even returned samples to Earth. On the far side, where there is no direct link, relay satellites are used. In the future, robots will be the first builders. They will prepare pads, set up antennas, and check the terrain. The better these machines become, the easier human work will be. Inside a base, people will live at normal pressure and temperature. The light cycle will be artificial to keep a familiar rhythm of sleep and wakefulness. Air will be cleaned by filters and recycling, and some food will be grown with hydroponics. Salads, greens, and simple vegetables. The rest must be delivered from Earth. Space will be tight, like on a submarine, but arranged so that everyone can work and rest safely and efficiently. Not only governments, but also business are moving into lunar work. Private firms already launch rockets and deliver cargo more cheaply than before. In the future, they can haul equipment, build solar farms, and even provide communications. Competition drives prices down and speeds up progress. States focus on science and safety, while companies take on logistics and service. That partnership makes settling the moon more realistic and achievable. Although treaties forbid placing weapons on the moon, military interests are still present. Communications, navigation, and observation technologies needed for science are easily applied to defense. The moon could be a convenient site for radar and for watching space. That is why nations strive to establish a foothold there. To avoid conflict, shared rules are drafted, and data about work zones are published openly. When people speak about mining on the moon, they mostly mean using resources on site. From soil, you can make building blocks, ice can be turned into water and oxygen can also serve as propellant. Helium-3 in the soil is sometimes mentioned, but no one yet knows how to use it for energy. The main goal for the coming decades is to use what already lies underfoot, so we do not have to bring everything from Earth. Colonizing the moon does not mean cities and millions of residents, but a continuous presence of small crews. First, there will be short missions, then seasonal expeditions, and after that, rotating teams like on the orbital station. The key condition is that a base must function without constant help from Earth, extract water, recycle air, and repair equipment. If that works, the moon becomes a genuine second home for people. Life on the moon will be not only a physical test, but a psychological one. Beyond the module wall lies emptiness and a dead landscape. The sky is always black, and Earth hangs as a fixed, bright disk. Isolation, tight quarters, and monotony easily lead to fatigue and stress. Crews therefore need schedules, contact with loved ones, exercise, and small leisure zones. All this is as vital as water and oxygen, or people will break. Low gravity causes loss of bone mass and muscle, so on the moon you will have to train every day. Radiation is higher than on Earth, so modules will be covered with soil and special shelters will be used for solar storms. Medicine will be as autonomous as possible. Analyzers, ultrasound, and first aid supplies available on site. People must be ready for anything because evacuation to Earth takes days, not hours. Having children on the moon is not possible yet. Scientists do not know how low gravity and radiation would affect pregnancy and a child's development. There have been no human trials, and animal experiments showed risks for bones and organs. There are still no technologies or medicine to make it safe. So for the next decades, talk about children on the moon remains a hypothesis and a task for the far future. Robots will be the main helpers for people on the moon. A signal from Earth takes about a second, so machines must work as autonomously as possible in practice. They will gather data, haul cargo, build pads, and repair equipment on schedule. Artificial intelligence will help allocate power, monitor systems, and warn of failures early. The more routine tasks robots handle, the safer and simpler daily life becomes for the crew over time. The most valuable lunar sites are areas with ice and near constant light. That is where different nations aim to go. To avoid clashes, landing zones must be coordinated and spacing between bases kept. Even one careless landing can lift dust and damage nearby gear. Rules for behavior on the moon are already discussed, but there is no full agreement yet, and the risk of conflict remains significant. By international treaties, the moon cannot belong to any single country, but extracting resources is not forbidden, and that is what sparks disputes. Some argue companies may own what they have mined, others demand strict regulation. There are no common rules yet, and that creates a legal vacuum. To prevent chaos, we need shared laws and a registry of all activities on the moon. Otherwise, disputes and distrust will grow. The moon will be preparation for longer journeys. Here we can test everything: resource extraction, radiation shielding, base construction, and work in isolation. Here we can also refuel rockets with oxygen and water produced on site. Flights to Mars take months, while the moon is only a few days away, so every technology proven on the moon brings closer the moment when people can go farther, to the Red Planet. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to the 10 Minutes channel. We keep it short and to the point. Bye.